All right. Good morning, PTNI's Daily Show. Happy Thursday morning. I hope your day is off to a fantastic start. My name is Alan. Happy to be here today as your host on Leadership Thursday on the PTNI's Daily Show. We talk all things practice management and ownership, small business leadership, management, tips and tricks, that sort of thing. It is Leadership Thursday, which also means it is Gut Check Thursday. Gut Check Thursday this week is a memorial/hero workout called Sadie Jane. It is in memory of a member of Turn Again CrossFit up in Anchorage, Alaska, that passed away. If you didn't hear, that gym had a roof collapse a couple weeks ago now, and Sadie is a member that passed away in that accident. So this workout is in her honor. It is a 23-minute AMRAPs, a little bit longer than normal, but that's kind of the nature of hero memorial workouts. As many rounds and reps as possible in 23 minutes of the following workout: 16 shuttle runs, 9 bar facing burpees, and 3 power cleans. The shuttle runs this week, normally we consider one shuttle run to be 50 feet, 25 feet down, 25 feet back. But this week it is just 25 feet is one rep. So you're going to go down and back 8 times if you're doing this in the gym for a total of 16 by 25 feet. Bar facing burpees, of course, we all hate those. And in the power clean weight this week, 185 for guys, 125 for ladies. A heavier power clean. Even if you look at that number and you think there's no way I can do that, you should think about challenging yourself this week with a heavy, slow power clean that you need to clean, drop, rest for a little bit, clean it again. It should feel really kind of long, grindy type workout. That's the goal with a hero or memorial workout. So that is Gut Check Thursday for this week. Courses coming your way next weekend. You can join Christina down in Oklahoma City for Pregnancy and Postpartum Live. You can join Paul out in Scottsdale, Arizona for dry needling lower body. And you have 2 chances next weekend to catch Older Adult Live. That's going to be in Rogers, Arkansas with Alex Germano, or in Oviedo, Florida with Julie Brower. The last weekend of this month is the Ice Sampler. It's our annual conference event. We'll be down in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got about 100 people who are excited to come learn. Our focus this year is all about the neck and jaw. So we're going to talk about assessment and treatment of the jaw, ruling in and out the neck, treating TMD, joint mobilization, manipulation of the TMD, dry needling, soft tissue. Alex Germano is going to talk a little bit about the vestibular system, and then Fitness Athlete is going to talk about loading the head and neck to finish off for the weekend. So it's going to be a fantastic weekend. Every year the Ice Sampler sells out, and it sells out in a couple of days. You should know that we plan to put tickets for sale for the 2024 Ice Sampler up on noon Eastern time on Sunday, April 30th. So you should, if you want to join us for the sampler, you should put a block on your calendar at that time, noon Eastern on April 30th, because that's when we're going to put tickets on sale. The vast majority of tickets are going to sell instantaneously by the people sitting in the room currently at the Ice Sampler. And then the last little bit that might be remaining will sell out in the next couple days. That event always is sold out in about 24 hours. So noon Eastern, April 30th, that Sunday. Make sure you're at your computer, your phone, so you can buy a ticket to the Ice Sampler if you want to come join us. And then in May, we have a whole bunch of courses the weekend of May 6th and 7th. 2 chances to catch cervical management. You can catch Zach Morgan in Potomac, Maryland. You can catch Jordan Berry out on the West Coast in San Diego. Pregnancy and Postpartum Live in Grand Rapids with Alexis Morgan. Another chance at dry needling, this time lower body up in Minnesota with Paul. Bike Fit will be in Chicago, and Total Spine Thrust will be in Cincinnati. So all summer coming your way, 10 to 20 courses a weekend. So check us out, ptonice.com. Let's get into today's show. So we're continuing our new leader series. Last week, or the week before, we talked about logistics. We're going to carry that forward now and really talk about the nuts and bolts of what we're essentially getting at, which is getting more patients, reaching more people, the concept of attacking where the enemy is not. And this is a concept that comes to us from Sun Tzu, The Art of War. It's a great book. It's a little obtuse. You have to keep in mind it was written, 3,000 years ago, but it's a book of how to basically conduct a war. And it has a lot of great thoughts and ideas and theorems that really carry over into the business world as well. If we're not physically trying to kill our enemy, but we are trying to learn better how to come up with sound strategy and logistics that sees our business do better than our competitors. And how do we do that? we start to master the concept of learning not to try to attack the enemy where they are at. And that's kind of counterintuitive our brain of for so long in human history, well, for all of human history, it's been about warfare. But for so much of that, it has been about two armies attacking each other head on. And Sun Tzu, thousands of years ago, was one of the first people to say, what if we didn't do that? What if we didn't just show up with our army and try to fight the other army and hope that we had more dudes, more bows and arrows, more swords, more food? Like, what if we thought about warfare in a different way? And that's going to be my challenge to you today, is to think about running your business, and kind of our challenge every Thursday of running your business in a different way, of maybe thinking about doing it differently than everybody else does it, and seeing if that doesn't treat you a little bit better, if that isn't easier logistically, easier financially, and easier overall for you and your team to see some growth. So attacking where the enemy is not. And this concept was repeated often, or the lack of this concept, I should say, was repeated often throughout history, and that we really didn't take these words to heart. You can read about the Civil War, you can look at the Revolutionary War, and just see literally for all of our history, two armies coming up against each other, changing technology, yes, going from bows and arrows to guns, but really not changing tactics until really the past 100 years or so of coming up with strategies like ambushing and things like that. And really, we see kind of the same change in business, especially with the invention of the internet and computers. We're finally starting to see different ways to conduct business other than open up your own business and try to sell more widgets or outmarket your competitor, which doesn't always work out, and sees, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, the large scale failure of most new businesses, of that about 75% of businesses will fail within their first 15 years. And even half of them will fail within the first 5 to 10 years. How can we avoid that? We attack where the enemy is not. Where are they not? We need to start with where are they? Of when we open up our business, we have all of these things coming our way. If you haven't received them yet as a new business owner, you will. People will come into your clinic and try to sell you stuff. They will call you. They will email you. They're trying to sell you all these different ways to market. You see the ads all over Instagram. You see the masterminds and the mentorship groups. Get 100 new evaluations tomorrow. Click here, $10,000. We've all seen that crap on social media. What works and what does not, and why do they not work, or why do they work? So let's talk about where the enemy already is. Enemy here being other physical therapy clinics in and around your area. Where are the enemy already? Where are the other clinics already at? Well, your big chain clinics are already in with the physician's offices, right? Of whether you're cash or whether you take insurance, payment method doesn't really matter. Of having a good relationship with at least the primary care physicians in your town can be a good relationship to have. And often we're told in school, or maybe we learn at our first job or something, about trying to go market to physicians, right? Get a box of donuts, get some sandwiches from Jimmy John's, and head on over there and drop off some prescription pads and business cards and kind of rub elbows with the primary care physicians. What we need to realize is the enemy is already there, right? What you'll realize if you try to do that is you'll walk in and you'll see half a dozen prescription pads from other physical therapy clinics already on the desk, right? They've already been there. What you need to realize is they're often paying to be there. There are third-party independent marketing firms that will go and do that for you. They will pick up the Jimmy John sandwiches. They will grab your prescription pads, and they will go and try to get a meeting with the primary care doc or the surgeon, whoever, and schmooze with them a bit and drop off your stuff and hand off the bagels or the sandwiches. And they're paying to do that, because you can't do that, right? You can't go over there between 9 and 5 because ideally you're in your clinic seeing patients. So how can you do that? You pay somebody else to do that. Now you might say, well, why don't I just pay to do that, right? If they can pay to do it, I can pay to do it. You should know that's very expensive, that will run you an average of $250 to $500 every time a marketing person goes and has that visit for you. So it's time consuming and or expensive. So that's a place the enemy already is. Where else are they? They're already in the physical mail, right? We see this. It doesn't really matter what your industry is. Your mailbox, your physical mailbox at your home or your place of business is really not a thing that receives anything useful anymore, right? And it probably has not done so for years. of maybe you get a card from grandma or something, but other than that, it's filled with junk, right? Physical mailers are overwhelming. And if you're like me, you get a ton of them and you just literally put them all in the recycling bin. You don't even look at them, right? You're looking for something that appears to be from a government organization or a friend or family member, and you know, especially if it's addressed to your business, that it's probably junk mail. So you should know the enemy is already doing physical mailers. And again, the question might be, well, why don't I do physical mailers, right? If they can do it, I can do it. You should know this is extraordinarily expensive. There is a way to do it through the post office, everyday direct door. They will sell and mail to whoever you tell them to, right? You can tell them a specific demographic for age, of income, of education level. You can specify a number of different ways and tell them who you want to see, get your mailers, and then set that up. But you should know we live in a relatively small town, 20,000 people here in Fenton. It would cost us about $5,000 to mail our target demographic. And that's just to send them one mailer. That if you're thinking about doing that monthly, even quarterly, even twice a year, that becomes a significant expense. It also becomes a significant time investment because you need to create those mailers, you need to have them printed, and you need to take them to the post office and drop them off and have them sorted for mailing. So it's both time consuming and expensive. So the enemy is already doing physical mailers. What about billboards? You've probably thought about this. I think about it all the time. I see a million billboards on my way to and from the office every day. What about billboards? You should know that those are, for the most part, for the average physical therapy clinic, prohibitively expensive, as much as $15,000 a month, right? You're talking about maybe all of the profit you will make in a year being spent on having a billboard up. And you have to ask yourself, is that going to return the money to my business that it costs me? And for most of us, the answer is no. I remember having a business class, quote unquote business class in school, and being told to set up billboards as our main stream of marketing. And I remember thinking then, this was almost 10 years ago, that has to be super expensive. And it is super expensive. So the enemy is already using billboards. So again, very expensive to use billboards. And you can imagine the next point here. What about advertising with a sports team? What about having my banner at the baseball stadium, at the football field, wherever, of maybe the local college or maybe the local professional team? You can imagine that is now even more expensive than a billboard. So we should kind of know and understand that these mainstream marketing sources are already where the enemy is, that they are both time consuming and expensive, and they are, for the average independent clinic owner, going to be out of reach, at least initially, right? And if you try to pursue these methods, you are trying to attack the enemy where they're already at. They're already there, they're already entrenched. Part of the reason these things are so expensive is because people are paying for it, right? There's no reason for the billboard company or the sports team to reduce the rate on how much these things cost when other organizations are willing to pay for them, right? So do not attack an entrenched enemy, attack the enemy where they are not. Where is the enemy not currently? The nice thing here is that the things I'm about to say might be time consuming, but they are relatively cheap from a money perspective of let's look at all the different ways that we can reach populations of people in, yes, a time consuming way, but in a free or maybe even cheap manner. The enemy is not in the high school weight room working with strength conditioning coaches and athletic trainers at the high school 2 days a week. They are not running athletes through strength conditioning, through workouts, through strength pieces. They are not there to help with technique and form and be there to answer questions on injury. Why? Because it's time consuming. A lot of programs, sports programs at the middle school and high school level in most towns across the country are going to be run in kind of this back-to-back format where a team is going to come in every hour for a couple of hours. This is usually going to happen right after the school day ends and is going to continue into the evening. The enemy is not here because it requires a therapist to be there for some major portion of a day of maybe 1 to 2 p.m. until 6 to 7 p.m. in the evening. And that might be 2 to 3 days a week, right? That almost looks like a part-time job. And so the enemy is not there because if the therapist is there, they can't be in the clinic treating the patient. So they're not going to commit that person to that high school team. But you starting out, or you thinking about bringing on a new therapist who might have some extra time in their schedule, can help with that team and can reach out to those programs and get involved. I love to see a ICE faculty member here, Kristen Wellencotter, in her local high school. She's always posting on Instagram. She is having them do a strength piece, and then she's killing them with basically a CrossFit workout, right? Conditioning, right? Killing them with kettlebell swings and burpees or something. So a very low barrier to entry, very low cost, just time consuming. Where else is the enemy not at? They're the same concept. They're not with the running club that the running store hosts on Wednesday nights, right? They might go for a 5 or a 10-mile run. That requires a commitment to fitness of the person who's going to be there. But again, it also requires a time commitment of we're going to meet up after what we consider normal working hours and run and hang out for a couple of hours. That is not time in the clinic treating patients. It's not billable. So you will not see the enemy often running that program or being involved in that program. But again, it's a program that people would love to see a physical therapist at. They would love to have a physical therapist in their run group that they can ask questions to and come see when they do have issues, and that has a low barrier to entry and a relatively low cost as well. It just requires some elbow money, right? Some fitness money. They're not in the CrossFit gym. So many major chains want to be in the CrossFit gym, but they don't want to put anybody in the CrossFit gym. Nobody at the clinic does CrossFit. Nobody at the clinic coaches CrossFit. And so they're not naturally in the CrossFit gym or the functional fitness space. It doesn't have to be a CrossFit gym. Of going to class every day, getting to know the members, doing things like workshops, and getting in front of the members. Why? Because that is time that is not spent treating patients and billing patients. So the enemy is not often involved in the local functional fitness gym. A little bit higher cost here to entry, right? You're gonna have to buy a membership, but time cost is relatively low, right? Maybe an hour a day, a couple days a week to really get in front of a relatively large population of people. And you can imagine if this is your movement practice, that if you could go to a couple of gyms across the span of a week, you could have yourself in front of hundreds or maybe even thousands of people across the span of a week for a relatively low time and financial cost. So being in the functional fitness gym is where you can be that the enemy is not. Where is the enemy not overwhelmingly? At the senior center. Physical therapists in general are not at the senior center. Of reaching out to your local senior centers in your town and the towns around it and just offering to do workshops. We at ICE, we have pre-made workshops for you. We have a workshop that the older adult division has made on managing arthritis, on reversing osteoporosis, on better balance, on being confident with falls and getting better around falling. Pre-made workshops with slides that you can put your logo on and present to your senior center tomorrow. And they would love to have you. We're starting a campaign here with all the senior centers in the area, and they are literally tripping over themselves to get us scheduled. And it's amazing how not involved in the community healthcare providers are in general with our older adults, but especially at an area where they're already naturally congregating. That's a slam dunk for us. They're already coming to one central area once a week, once a month, whatever, in a format that would let us come present to them, that would let us come start a group exercise program for them. Overwhelmingly, the enemy is not at the senior center, and that is a place that you can be and maybe even make money, right? Maybe even there's money in the town budget to pay you to run those exercise classes to get in front of your target patient population. So the enemy is not at the senior center, but you could be. And overwhelmingly, the enemy is not on digital media. A lot goes into digital marketing. I don't want to try to simplify it. It's certainly especially if you're already in this space, there's a lot to understand. There's a lot that's already changing, a lot that is always changing. It feels like just when you get comfortable with it, it changes again. But overwhelmingly, the enemy is not leveraging digital media. They are leveraging kind of old school, traditional physical media, like we talked about before. Physical mailers, billboards, TV commercials, going physically to the physician's office, that sort of thing. They are not optimizing their websites for search engine optimization, and that's something that you can leverage for a relatively low cost. They are not optimizing things like blogs. The key with search engine optimization, to kind of simplify it, is you are trying to put more content on your website that people could potentially find when they Google search physical therapy near me or how to fix my back pain. You are trying to make sure they see your website first, and that is a very simplified way to think about SEO or search engine optimization. And a lot of the enemy is not using this. They are using pre-made templated websites that all look the same, that cannot be quickly modified or edited, versus you, the independent clinic owner, who can maybe go into the back end of your own website yourself and add a blog post right now and put in some keywords that might have you show up on a search engine and get you seen first in that Google search. And then overwhelmingly, the enemy is not on social media, particularly relevant social media, right? The enemy has mastered, quote unquote, mastered Facebook, but they have mastered a dying platform. Overwhelmingly, the enemy is not on Instagram and they're not on TikTok, right? They're not on relevant digital media that is video based. And that is a great way for you to really reach not everyone, right? Not everyone is on Instagram or TikTok, but to reach especially a younger demographic of a person that's maybe 18 to 50 is somebody that's definitely going to be seeing your reels and TikToks if you put them out there. The benefit to things like TikTok and reels is that they are preferentially shown above pictures. You can't even put still pictures on TikTok, but they also are shown to an audience that does not follow you based on essentially the artificial intelligence that runs those platforms saying your video looks similar to other videos. So we're going to show your video to people who have looked at other videos that looks like yours. So you're reaching people way beyond your follower base, which helps you grow your follower base. But thinking of the traditional brick and mortar clinic, that is helping you be seen by people in your area who may not even know that you exist. So getting comfortable with social media, getting comfortable with digital media, particularly getting comfortable with making videos for TikTok and Reels is going to really help you get a wide reach. Yes, the enemy is trying here, but it's kind of funny to watch them try of doing videos about the differences between an HSA and an FSA and how to use your HSA. And that's not really interesting content, right? Patients are looking for how to fix my back pain. I've had back pain for years. I want it fixed. They are looking for patient relevant content. 55% of Americans don't use their HSA money every year, and 100% of them don't care about the difference between an HSA and an FSA. So make sure that your content is engaging and patient-centered about what are patients searching for, and getting with somebody that does digital marketing can really help you understand what are people actually searching for and what are people searching for in my area. So that ends up with them finding your website, finding your social media page, seeing your videos, and ultimately calling you, texting you, booking online, whatever, to get an appointment at your clinic. So make sure you're leveraging digital and social media as well, because overwhelmingly the enemy is not there. So attack where the enemy is not. Don't waste time and money trying to do the things that they're already doing and they've been doing for a long time. You're attacking an entrenched position there. It's never a good idea to do that. Go where they're not. Go where the cost is less, where there may be some time commitment, but where you really don't have any competition to reach big groups of patients. Make sure you're in the high school weight room. Make sure you're at the running club. Make sure you're in the functional fitness gym. Make sure you're giving workshops to your older adults in your community, and make sure in your downtime you're leveraging things like digital media, doing reels on Instagram, getting on TikTok, that sort of thing. So a lot of different avenues. Even if social media and computer-based stuff is not for you, there are still a lot of unleveraged areas for you to reach out and grab potential patients where you won't have a lot of competition. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you'll have a fantastic Thursday. If you're going to be at a live course this weekend, have a wonderful time. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.